Luckily or unluckily, I don't know, because I was a refugee boy when I was a small boy, and then I studied in the refugee school. And as soon as I finished my studies, then I was asked to handle huge number of refugee children, having about 2,500 children, which is one of the biggest school in India, Tibetan school in India, having 2,500 children. In the beginning, I was a teacher, and then slowly I was a principal, and then at the end, I was a director. And director means it's like a father figure in a big community, having 2,500 children, about more than 300 staff. And then also I have to do a lot of funding, writing letters to the sponsors, and then building homes for the orphan children. And it was like about 17 years I was involved in that project, big project. And then after that I took charge of the higher study college in Dharamsala, which is called Sara College, which is one of the leading college for studying Tibetan language, Buddhist philosophy, and Tibetan literature and culture. So I studied, but the buildings were done when I came there. It was done, but then it was really a big struggle for 6.5 years, and many refugee children, young boys and girls come, and of course I really struggled, but it was quite successful. At the end, it was really successful. And then in 2003, I was advised by His Holiness Dalai Lama to revive this tradition, which is called Bodong tradition. This is a Buddhist tradition, which was profound in 13th, 14th century. It was really a big learning center in Buddhism. And especially there were many great scholars in this tradition. But then in 17th, 18th century, it started declining. And then when we escaped from Tibet, it was already very big. And due to our exile, and then in Tibet from 60 till like 79, it was totally closed and no one is allowed to practice Buddhism. And then outside Tibet, we were all struggling for our survival. We couldn't pay much attention for the reviving of this tradition. In this way, this tradition remains very, very dark from 1959 till like 1980. Almost no existence of its name in the exile community and inside Tibet. It was very, very weak, almost extinct. But then slowly, some follower of this tradition, and they were lay people, they were putting some effort to build a small monastery where they can install the statues and a mosque, statue and some tangas and some artifacts which they brought from Tibet when they were escaping. And then they started installing those things. And then, of course, few years they remained in a rented small house, and then slowly build a very, 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 very small monastery where they can call this as a Bodong monastery, but not no monks and just only few lay people. They do some prayers and that's all. And then His Holiness took a lot of interest in this because first Dalai Lama and the founder of this tradition has a spiritual connection. Like founder of this tradition gave a lot of teaching to the first Dalai Lama, and then also he gave title of All-Knowing One to the first Dalai Lama. In this way, this tradition has special connection to His Holiness Dalai Lama. And then the lay people, they asked me to lead. And then they also wrote a long letter to His Holiness Dalai Lama. In this way, I was trapped in this project. And then His Holiness asked me to lead. Of course, then I can't say no. And then since 2003, and then I was working on this project for full-fledged sort of thing. And and then this is a very complicated project. Why? Just fundraising is one thing. And then on top of this, there are many texts which are to be researched. So at present, I employed about 8 Geshes to do research on different texts in this tradition. And I have to pay their salary and all the everything. And then also we started a Bodong Research Center in Dharamsala, where we employed about 7 staffs in the office. And then including all, we have 14, 15 staffs regularly. Every year we have like this staff. And then we are doing research on the texts which were written in 13th century, and then try to print this in the book form so that the young monks in the monastery in Nepal will be educated in Bodong tradition. This is one thing. And then another thing is we are trying to find out the teaching lineages of this tradition from other traditions. Like we found some teaching lineages in Kagyu tradition, about 30, 40 lineages. And then we found another few lineages in Sakya tradition. Up to now, due to our research, we found. And these lineages are to be received from a profound, non-controversial teacher, and then to bring it back to the Bodong tradition. And this is a long journey. And then also we have to also do a lot of research on the rituals and prayers, and then this tradition has a huge practice of healing practices. So this all has to be done through research, and then we have to educate them in the monastery, so that there will be, in future, there will be someone who will keep this lineage going on. Okay, so this is quite a complicated project. I have to think about the research, what to research, and then also I have to plan what lineage I have to find out, and then also rituals and all these prayers and rituals, everything, and then also administration of the monastery, building the monastery, and then also like fundraising, and then going to the Europe to give some teachings. So this is like my daily routine. And so at present, of course, the research, everything is going well, but still we really need a lot of financial support. Of course, now I feel a bit uneasy when I say we need a financial support. I feel a bit uneasy, but then still I have to say, because this is the reality, and without your help, I think the tradition, reviving this tradition may never happen. For example, like whenever I come, I get some money, and this will be transferred to the monastery in Nepal, and this will be mainly used for the daily expenses of the monastery. And then daily expenses of the monastery is quite heavy, because we have now about 31 monks in the monastery, and then we are doing quite a number of activities, you see, and this way it's quite expensive. And then monastery is very new. When they hand it over to me, they give only 40,000 Nepalese rupees, which is about less than 1,000 euro. With this, I took the charge, and then started like working very hard. Really, I worked very hard. And up to now, of course, the daily running was just manageable, okay? And now the number is also, we have to increase number. And then from this year, we started the philosophical class, and then also some teachings, and then ritual practices. And then with this also, we need some extra expenses. And then also the monks are living in one small room, 3 or 4 monks staying. So this is very, very overcrowded. Rooms are very small. Actually, these are meant for 2 people. And now, at present, we are putting 3 or 4. And so now we are planning to build some few extra rooms. And of course, we already bought the land. And due to the support of one of my friends from Switzerland, we bought the land. Now we are trying to add few more rooms. And for that, your support is really crucial. Otherwise, it's almost impossible. Yes. And then also now, last year we found quite a number of sponsors. I think it was like 11 sponsors from Finland. And I didn't try to find any sponsors from anywhere. This year, few people in Sweden, they wanted to sponsor, but then I gave some few other case histories. But the monks, I was expecting sponsors from Finland. I didn't propose in Sweden or in England or in Belgium. So now we have 11 and plus now we have...
I think we have six missing.
Okay, still we have 21 young monks who belongs to a very, very poor, remote area of India. And if you read the case history, they struggled, and many of them, they never been to school. And a few, they went to school, but many of them, they never have been to school. They are like aged between 12 and 17. So they really deserve a good treatment. They really deserve a good education. And then on top of this, to revive this tradition, if they are well educated in this tradition, and then they will be a nice spiritual teacher in future. So this project is not only just for the monastery, but this is also a multi-purpose project which benefits the poor people, educate the poor people, and then also reviving a dying tradition. Of course, then on top of this, the monastery will be healthier. So it's quite a multi-purpose project, and which is guided by His Holiness Dalai Lama. And I'm now taking charge of this whole project in Dharamsala or in Nepal, and constantly visiting to and fro. So your support, financial support, moral support will be very, very helpful to me to minimize my afflictive emotions. Thank you. So on behalf of the monasteries and the monks in the monastery, I would like to say thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, sponsoring monks since last year. I would like to say thank you so much. And then I'm also appealing on behalf of the monastic community in Bodong tradition to try to give us financial support by sponsoring or donation. I'm appealing on their behalf. And thank you very much. And of course now the teaching on Bodong tradition is finished. Now, especially in this tradition, there are few. We listed about 11, but now I think we have less time, so I will do a little bit of shortcut. As I told you, in this tradition there is a practice of healing, which I experienced when I was a small boy. When I was a small boy, we were in a nomad family. And one day, we were boiling tea in a big container. And then all of a sudden, due to cyclone, the container was collapsed. Boiling container was collapsed on my leg. And then I was wearing a thick woolen trouser. And then whole boiled black tea was absorbed by this. And then my leg was steamed in this. And then when I unroll like this, and all my skin were coming with it, because they couldn't pay attention for a few minutes or maybe half an hour, because they were busy erecting the tent, and then my leg was in the hot trouser, and then all came out. And then in Tibet, the medication was very poor. And then we invited one of the monks from this monastery, Bodong monastery, to heal my burnt portion of the leg. And then he stayed 3 days, and then every day he spit it, like this, spit it 3 times in a day. And then the liquid, all this, when after spitting, everything comes out, And then I feel so relieved, very nice feeling. And spitting after 3 days, it was fine, And then, of course, to total healing, it took some time, but then it didn't come, but it really healed. And then I have a very small, very, very light scars, but otherwise it's fine. So like this, and then also there are some healings on the disease of the animal, and then like some disease of skin, mainly on skin disease. And so there are special practices on healing. There are many. It's a shortcut. And then in this tradition, one of the interesting or important thing is this tradition has a reincarnation, female reincarnation. Female reincarnation in Tibetan tradition is not very common. almost we say not existing. But in this tradition, we have very high-profiled female reincarnation who is called something Dorjee Phagmo, and something Dorjee Phagmo is a well-known female reincarnation all over Tibet. But practicing this tradition and installed by the founder of this tradition, she as a women's reincarnation of Dorjee Phagmo. Okay, and then also there are some other tantric practices, and then teaching lineage is very much different. So all this makes this tradition worth preserving or reviving. Okay, in a nutshell.